Okay, we just started recording now. So the grass pitches. So what's all this about? So basically, the Football Foundation, the FA, and the Grounds Management Association are all working together to try and improve the quality of the pitches.
Side of things over and above their age group.
Let me just
specifics. So Paul's going to pick 7s and 8s up.
Mute everyone there.
Alex Graham 9s and 10s.
There we go. So yeah, there's 3 organisations all working together to try and improve the quality of the pitches. So really, the aim is that by 2030, the country has got 20,000 good quality pitches to enjoy. So we're targeting 356 good pitches by June 2024, and then beyond that, we'll get set a new target to 2027, and then another one to 2030 that will help contribute to that 20,000 number across the country. So in terms of how we're trying to do this, so the grass pitch program's got 2 elements to it. It's the PitchPower process, which I'll talk through in a moment, which is around giving you the knowledge and the guidance in terms of how to improve your pitches. And then it's the funding to enable you to be able to carry out the recommendations that are in your PitchPower report, which should help then improve your pitches. So what do we mean by good pitches? So the Grounds Management Association, who we work with, they've got a framework which you can see on the screen there. So it goes from basic, good, advanced, high, right up to elite. But the purpose of this program, we're going to be focusing on everything below the advanced level. For the amount of funding that's been put in, we wouldn't expect to see pitches get to a high or an elite level. Largely because to get to that level, you would require a lot of investment into human resource, as well as the actual spend on maintenance works as well, and levels of machinery. So we're working on everything below the advanced level. There is actually a level below basic, which is poor. It's not on this graph, but it's basically a standard that we don't really want to see anywhere, which is why it's not on this graph. But when we go through, you'll see that there's 4 categories that the pitches are likely to fall into, and they're poor, basic, good, and advanced. So in terms of what we mean by those 4 categories, this is, I guess, the technical standards behind it. I don't expect you to memorize this or be necessarily thinking about this, but this just gives you a little bit of insight as to how the GMA will calculate where your pitch lands in that 4-part scale. So a lot of the performance standards that you'll see written on the left-hand side there will appear in the PitchPower report. The PitchPower assessment. So you'll be asked for some of these measurements. So things like the total amount of grass cover, the level of weeds, the thatch level, etc. And the app has got hints and tips throughout the process that will tell you how to take these measurements. So you don't need to be a grass expert. You just need to be able to follow the instructions that are on the app. So this is just a quick insight for you to show you effectively how the pitches should look if you follow the instructions correctly and are able to use the funding in the right way. The sound's not coming through there, is it?
No.
Let me just change that quickly. Again. Whoops. Okay, let's try that again.
Quite a lot of matches postponed, mainly down to waterlogged pitches. Since the pilot, we've only had one weekend where we haven't managed to play football, and yet other pitches on the Wirral have been closed by the council because they are completely underwater and not playable. And it's clear to see that that aeration has allowed the pitches to really come on. The grass quality is greatly improved, the surface is improved.
Oops. Sort of to pause it.
We invited parents, managers and players to feedback after every game, and all the comments say what a better service that we've managed to produce here compared to what we had prior. It's made us realise now that by doing this work, the improvements that we've seen are well worth the time and effort that's been put in to help us achieve that.
So yeah, essentially you'll see there that the quality of the pictures really does come on quite a way. Bit of background. So initially, when the Football Foundation first got going, they spent quite a lot of money trying to rectify pitches and improve them by installing drainage. And in the early 2000s, spent quite a lot of money trying to do that, and it didn't really yield the results that they were hoping for. However, what they found with the Grass Pitch Maintenance Fund program is that 67% of pitches improve within the first 12 to 18 months of the program starting. And anecdotally, so this is players who are turning up and playing at the grounds. 90% of them say that the pitches have improved after 12 months of being on the program. So you really should see a tangible improvement to your pitches if you carry out the requirements of the PitchPower report effectively. So PitchPower. So basically, in terms of what it is, for those that aren't aware, it's the Football Foundation's app that they have produced and developed that allows users to self-assess your pitches. So when the pitch assessment program was first started, the GMA was sending regional pitch advisors out to clubs who were then assessing pitches. However, with the volume of pitches that we've got across the county, it's just not possible to be able to have one person covering a region of several counties who can then go out and do all these assessments. So the app was built so that users can put in some of that data. And then the GMA's new role in it is basically to build up the reports and send it back. Typically, they're building these reports within a few days, mostly within 2 weeks, depending on if it's a big multiple pitch site. But yeah, turning around these reports really quickly. So first thing to note is that it can't be found on the app stores. So if you've got an iPhone or an Android, if you search in the app store, it won't be there. So you need to go to pitchpower.org.uk to access it. The first time you access it, particularly from your phone, you'll get a message come up on the screen which will say, do you want to add this to your home screen? If you click yes, it will then sit on your phone and behave like an app. So it will sit on your home screen, and then every time you click into it, it will pop up as if it were a traditional app that you've got on your phone. So it's worth doing that the first time. And then, as mentioned, when you do the report and submit the data, it will go through to the Grounds Management Association. They'll use their criteria to send back a detailed report and a performance quality standard rating, which, as I mentioned before, will either be poor, basic, good, or advanced. So to get going with PitchPower, you need to create an account on pitchpower.org.uk. So you can do this either on your phone or on a laptop. It's worth making sure that you've definitely got it on your phone, because you'll need it for when you go out to take the to do the actual assessment. But if you want to start it on your laptop, that's absolutely fine, and you might actually find it easier to do the first bits on a laptop. So you'll need to add yourself to your organisation, and then so that'll be obviously the name of your club. Then add your grounds to your organisation. So this might be, if you play across multiple sites, you might have multiple grounds that you add on, and then you need to add your pitches onto each of those grounds. And I'll just quickly show you how you can do that. Bear with me 1 second whilst I just pull up the screen. Okay, so this is PitchPower on the laptop. So you'll see just on the left-hand side, you've got a bit of a menu there. You'll need to click into join organisation, and then you can search the name of your club. It might already be there. If it's not there, you can then create a new organisation, and it'll ask you for organisation name and an address and postcode to attach you to. After you've done that, you'll then be able to join a ground. So you'll see this screen here. So we've set up a demo organisation here. You click join ground, and then you'll be able to type in the name of your ground. Once you've done that, you can then open your ground, and then you can add a new sport. So for those who this is probably more applicable to town and parish councils or education sites where they've got multiple sports on the site. They may wish to do an inspection for their rugby pitches as well, for example, or their cricket pitches. But obviously for the purpose of this, just add football. You'll then be able to go in, open your sport, and then you'll be able to add your pitches on. So you can see the manage pitches button there. We've added 3 here, so you can see those just on the screen. There are also some other pitches that are grayed out here. So these are effectively ones that are on another site. So you can ignore any of the ones that are in grey. Don't get too distracted by those. If you've got a site that's next to you that's also using PitchPower and it's got pitches, then they'll appear there. On the manage pitches section, so you can see at the bottom here, you can add a new pitch. So when you click that, you can name the pitch. You can write whether it's overmarked with other pitches. So if you do have pitches that are overmarked, so you've got a 5v5 that sits inside an 11-a-side, for example, leave the 5v5 off, just include the bigger pitch. Obviously, yes or no whether it's floodlit, yes or no if it's shared with other sports, so for example cricket, and then what pitch type it is. So if it's an adult or junior 11v11, 9v9, or one of the mini soccer 7v7 or 5v5 pitches. Once you've done that, you can then create the pitch. When you've done that, I'll just edit this existing one here. So it's not used in a National League system, so I'll click no there, and then you can adjust the location. So you can see that I can move it to different places. I can use the little circle bit here to turn it around if that's the way the pitch faces, and then save the location. So we've got our 3 pitches there now. If we go back to sport, so this is where you can then start your inspection. So you'll see here that you've got a little due now yellow mark there, and begin inspection. It says you've got 0 out of your 3 pitches that have been inspected so far. Before I show you a bit more, I'll just go through the rest of the pre-assessment actions that you'll need to follow. Just move this out of the way. So this information, now that you've done section A, the rest of this you don't need to do on the app. You just need to collate the information so that when you're doing the actual assessment, you've got that data to hand and can then put it in the app when it asks you that those questions. Essentially, if you were to not prepare this information in advance and then you went out and just started the assessment, you may get to the section where it's asking you about budget, and if you don't have the answer there, it won't let you progress to the rest of the assessment. So you'll end up going out, doing a bit of it, having to go away, find that information, then come back out another day and go back through it. So it's worth having this information prepared in advance. So budget, it will ask you for details of your budget for maintenance and renovations. So this is on a whole site basis, so you don't have to do this on a per pitch basis. Although it will ask you if you have a budget split. So if there's a first team pitch that you spend a bit more money on, then it will just want to know a bit of information around that. Cancellations. So this is just around how frequently you're having to cancel games. Don't include anything that's not pitch specific. So if games have been cancelled because the opposition have not had enough players, for example, exclude those kind of cancellations. It'll just be the ones where the weather's turned or the pitch is too waterlogged or it's frozen or whatever, and you can't get the game on. Then drainage. So if you've got any existing drainage installed, just make a note of what that type of drainage was and when it was installed. So that, again, that's one that you might have to do quite a bit of digging to find out some of that information. Equipment. So this is around the maintenance equipment that you use on your site. So if you use a contractor that comes out to undertake any works, don't include that. Only any equipment that you've got of your own that you use on the site. So this could be a line marker, for example. So you'll need to note down what the equipment make is and model, the year that it was purchased, if you can get as close to that as possible, and then the condition that it's in. The condition part's quite important because I'll mention as we go through the grass pitch machinery grant, but if you want to apply for that fund to replace a bit of machinery, you need to have a recommendation in your report which says we recommend that you purchase that new bit of machinery. If it's not there, when you do that application, the Football Foundation will reject it. So it's important that any equipment that you need, you make sure that you put in that you've either got that bit of equipment and it's broken, or it's had its last run out, or that you don't have that item and you need it. And then finally, fixtures. So this is just noting down how many hours of match play on average you'll have per week. So think of this as the main part of the season. So I know obviously in the summer it can look very different, but the main part of the season, how many hours on average do you have? So you might attribute 2 hours to an 11v11 match, for example. And then you'll also need to have separate numbers for your training hours. So again, your pitchers probably don't get that much training time during the midweek, during the main part of the season, but you may want to include if there's any Saturday morning mini kicker sessions or anything like that happens on the pitches too. And then lastly on that bit, also just whether there's any recreational use. So is it a site where you get the local kids who are nearby that turn up and have a bit of a kick around in the goalmouth? You don't need to know the hours for that one, just either a yes or no, whether the pitch gets recreational use or not. And that bit of information regarding fixtures will be needed on a pitch by pitch basis. Okay, so once you've collated all that information, you're now ready to go out onto the pitch and start your assessment. So you're going to need a spade, or if you've got one, a soil sampler, and then a measuring tape, and then your phone with access to PitchPower on it. So this is some of the things that the app will ask for. So it will ask for some photos and some measurements. So it'll ask for some photos of pitch damage. So if you've got any holes or pests that are causing an issue, you'll be able to take a photo of those and upload it whilst you go. Lines. So what the line markings are like, are they wonky? If they're wonky, don't be scared to take a photo of that, because there'll be recommendations around how you can have straighter lines, for example. So don't be too worried about putting wonky lines in. The grass height, and you'll need a measurement for that as well. I forgot to put in there. The grass and weed coverage photos. So you'll notice on the right hand side here, so this is the grass and weed coverage measure. So it's a flat photo of the pitch. So it's key when you're taking this photo to make sure that your feet aren't in the image. But it'll ask you to take a flat photo like that, and then there's 100 squares there. You can either tap each square that has got grass in, which will then give you a percentage out of 100. Or at the bottom right there, you'll see a box with a percentage mark in it. You can just put the number in that you kind of think it is. So if you looked at it and thought, actually, I think that's 90% grass, you can just put 90 in the box on the bottom right. I tend to find that that's the better thing to do, because if you looked at that, almost every square has got grass in it, but it's clearly not 100% grass, because you can see the daisies that are some weeds in there. So you can upload the same photo again regarding the weed coverage, and it'll ask you the same thing, and it'll be the same kind of format of question. You'll need a wide-angled photo of the pitch. This will be you'll need to take it on the goal line. You can either use the standard camera that you've got on your phone, or if it's got a setting that makes it go with a wider angle, then great, use that. And then finally, the soil sample photo, which you'll need your spade for, or you'll need your soil sampler. You'll notice that as you go through the app, there's the green hints. So you can see on the right hand side, you've got one that just says need help measuring at the top there. If you click on that, it will have a little descriptor about the measure. So for example, the grass height one, if you're not sure about how to do that one, you can click on the little tip, and it will have the hint in there. Also, with some of them, I think it's got it for the grass and weed coverage one. There at the bottom of that description, there'll also be a YouTube link, so you can click that, and then it will show you, I think it's a short 20 or 30-second video of how to do that measurement. So hopefully it should be fairly straightforward as you go through. So just to continue to show you a little bit more about this. So once you've got to this screen, you'll then begin an inspection. Are your pitches up to date? So if you have turned your pitch around, or you've changed the size of your pitches that you've got there, you might want to change them, and this kind of gives you a last minute chance to do that. Or if you added a new pitch. If not, and it's all good to go, then click ready to go. And the type of inspection we like to do is football. And the inspection reason. So the first time you do this, let me make this a bit bigger, because I'm just aware this is probably a bit small. There we go. The inspection reason. So you'll start off with interest in a football foundation grant beforehand. And then once you've got the funding, you'll need to do 2 PitchPower assessments every season, so that they can continue to see how the pitch is progressing and can give you updated advice. But then you'll be putting in existing football foundation grant. So for now, we'll put interest in a grant. Continue. So just got there that reminder about the items you'll need to take out on the pitch review: spade, tape measure, and camera phone. So now you'll see a set of sections that have got this yellow icon next to it, which means there's a section that's incomplete that needs doing. When a section's been finished, you'll have the green tick, and it'll say section complete. And as you scroll down, you'll see that you've got these 3 sections at the top, and then below you've got your pitch specific information. You'll notice that I named the pitches so that I can tell which ones they are. So the 11v11 is next to the clubhouse. That's just to make it easier for you to understand which pitch is being referred to when the report comes through, because some of the advice might be different from one pitch to another. So I'll just show you these very quickly. So inspection ground questions. Here we are, the first section, which is asking around what the maintenance budget is like. So if we were to put 1,000, and then renovations, say we'll put 500, and then budget split, we'll say there's no split. We spend the same amount across all of the pitches. Next. Now it's asking about who undertakes the grounds maintenance, who does the renovations, and how many volunteers undertake maintenance work at the site. So you'll see it's just kind of a series of things, series of questions that you need to go through, and then once it's complete, you'll get that green tick. The general ground maintenance section. So select the maintenance activities you carry out at this ground. So it's got a selection of options there that you can select. You can put in how often you do this. So you've got another load of options there as well. Don't forget, especially for grass cutting or line marking, there is an option at the bottom there which is as required, if the ones that are here aren't appropriate. And then you can put a brief description. You might want to put in who does it, whether it's a good job. So for example, mowing, you might put in the council does it not very well. If they're leaving like loads of grass on the pitch and stuff like that, which can be quite typical. Once that's done, you'll just click next and go through to the next bit. I'll just show you the general ground equipment section as well. So again, you've got a series of different options of equipment that you can say that you have. Remember, if you use a contractor, don't include their equipment. So yeah, product name, what condition it's in, what year it was purchased. So that is an optional button there, but it's helpful if you do know a rough guide of how old it might be, and then a brief description. So you can put something like it needs replacing, or it's broken, or something like that. So once those three sections are done, you're then ready to enter the pitch sections. So we'll go and do the 11v11 pitch there. Again, we've got two more sections at the top here, which are around the general pitch, so pitch maintenance. Again, this is held to the information that you told it about the whole ground. Now it's giving you the option to say, is there anything extra that you do for this pitch specifically? So for example, if this was your first team pitch, you might go, actually, we do a bit of extra overseeding in season, for example. So that's just the opportunity to put anything extra in. If there's nothing extra to add, you can just click next. The general section. So this is going to ask you some information around the drainage, as I mentioned before, how frequently the pitch is used in terms of average number of hours for match play and training, opportunity for you to take any photos of any damage to the pitches, be that you've had, I don't know, motorbikes come and ride across it, or anything like that. Any renovation works that you've had done in the last 5 years. It won't ask for major details. It'll just be categories that it'll offer you. So it'll be like you've had drainage installed or irrigation, for example. And then you'll be able to go out onto the pitch and answer the final three sections of this, which is information around the pitch itself. So whether it has debris? So is it next to trees where there's constantly leaves falling down that are obviously landing on the pitch? What's the surface levels like? Is it undulating? Are the goalposts compliant? So are they the rounded ones, not square? Are they made of wood, or are they the aluminium? And then it'll also ask you to take a photo of the line markings. You don't need to take a photo of the goalposts, just to mention, but the line markings you do. If there's no markings down at the time when you do the assessment, just take a picture of where the lines would be. It'll ask you a question around the quality of the line marking usually. So you can put down it's above standard, it's standard, or it's below standard. So above standard would be the lines are always visible at the times when you'd usually use it. They're always straight. Standard would be they're mostly visible, mostly straight. And then below standard would be they're not particularly visible, or they're definitely not straight. So even if you haven't got a picture of the line markings in, as long as you tick the right box there, you'll be able to progress. So once those two sections are done, you can then go out and do the physical part of the assessment on the pitch. So you'll notice it's broken down into 3 parts. So you've got goal mouth 1, centre circle, and then the second goal mouth. So goal mouth 1, I'll just show you what it looks like. So the grass height, it'll ask you what that is and to upload a photo. Same with the grass coverage. So as I mentioned to you before, it'll ask you how many of the squares in the picture contain grass once you've uploaded the photo. Again, if you need to use the hint and tip there, you've got it there, and then it pops up on the right-hand side, tells you how to measure it and how to take it. And then you've also got a link there, which will take you to a short YouTube video, which will tell you how to take that measurement as well. And then the final bit after that, it will ask you to take the soil sample, and it'll ask you to then take 3 measurements of the soil sample. One is the thatch level, which is the layer that sits on the top of the surface just when the grass has been cut, and it kind of disintegrates into the surface. That's the spongy bit at the top. Again, if you click on the hint, it will show you a YouTube video for how to measure that. It'll also ask you about the topsoil depth and the root depth as well. So you'll need your measuring tape to sit next to the soil sample, and then take a photo of it with the measuring tape next to it and upload that as well. If you've got any kind of worries about the measurement and you think, actually, I'm not sure if I've measured this right or if I'm measuring the right bit, don't worry too much about the numbers that you put in, because when it goes through to the Grounds Management Association, they can look at the photo and they can adjust the measurements that you've put in if they think that you've put in an inaccurate number. So so don't worry too much about that being 100% right. Just as long as the picture's really good and visible and you can see the measuring tape numbers, then they'll be able to amend whatever numbers you put in if they need to. Mark, you got a question?
Yeah, just a couple of things which spring to mind. I mean, grass height and coverage, I mean, it's all very subjective, really. If you do it at the start of the season, chances are it's going to look like Wembley. You do it, 2 or 3 months in, it's strange they ask for example, the grass height as part of this. Perhaps it's a question they have to ask, but it all depends when the council cut it, or whether I'm on my mower going up and down cutting it, or whether it's too wet to cut it and it's grown a little bit longer. So perhaps it's just an average they're looking for. But if you're taking a picture of it, it is what it is when you're taking a picture. If you see what I mean.
Yeah, no, definitely. And it's a question that does get asked about, well, why is that required? If we head back to this screen, so you'll see that it's got the length of grass, and it's got it as poor, basic, good, or advanced. So what you'll tend to find is with council pitches, typically, because they don't like to cut that frequently and they'd rather cut as infrequently as they can, you'll see more of them that have got a higher length of grass. So it then, for that measure, would fall into the poor category. So yeah, it's around what the length of grass is. Also, you've got a bit of a threshold. So the 45 to 59 is a 14 millimeter threshold, for example. So if the cut is of a certain height, so say the cut is at 35, but it's grown a bit, as long as it doesn't get beyond the 59 millimeter mark, it'll still fall in the good or advanced section. So it's got some growing room. What's not great is if it's left to go 60 millimeters or above, basically. So yeah, that's why that's in there. Does that make sense? I think that's okay. You're on mute still though, Mark, but yeah, jump in if you've
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, I was on. Yeah, I don't want to labour the point, but it is all down to when you've taken the photograph. Unless you state that the average length of the grass is such and such because you go up there every week and cut it. I mean, for grassroots clubs, it is what it is. It's
yeah.
One week it could be long, the other week could be short, but yeah, I think you just got to be sensible when you're doing it. You know roughly what it's like. So I won't labour the point, but it's just an observation.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I guess the interesting part of this is that the length of the grass being long, it can be beneficial at the front end because if your pitches are poor or basic, you'll get a higher amount of money to help move it up to a good level. But I'll explain that as we go through anyway. Okay, so let's just get back to where we were. Final bit on this. So once obviously all of these 3 sections are complete, it will then take you to the next pitch so that you can complete that one. And you'll be back at this screen here. Once all 3 pitches are complete, that green button will say submit, and then it's done. And then you should get your inspection back within a week or so of undertaking it. So let's out there and carry on. So once you've done the report, done the PitchPower assessment, you'll then get the report. So I'll just show you what the report looks like, so you can see a bit of the detail. So this is Simon Langton Girls' School, and we did this assessment back in January. Just wait for it to load. Here we are. So you'll notice on the front page, you've got report ID. You'll need that with your application. So when you apply for the funding, that's the number you need to put in. So it's got your inspection window of when it took place, the actual date, and then obviously the reason why you did it. Here we've got obviously the site. It's got the 3 pitches there, and it's got what they came out as. They all came out as poor. It's got a little percentage, which is basically when they do the calculation for those different measures, it brings up a score, and that's just how they can kind of see how it's progressing. So for example, the next report that you do beyond this, you might see that it's poor, but it's now 49%, in which case it's still in the category of poor, but it's actually regressed from where it was before. So having that measure just helps you to see if it stays in the same category, has it actually got better or worse? So as I said, yeah, it's got a date it was done by, it's got who inspected it, or rather their email address. when the next inspection's due, and then who from the Grounds Management Association reviewed it. So you can email Daniel, he's our regional pitch advisor. So he's the person that will do all of the reports, and yeah, can provide some real expert advice if you're confused about anything that's in your report. So it starts off with a overview, a little bit of your kind of general information. Again, it mentions in there that it's a requirement if you get the funding that you need to submit 2 inspections per year, and there are 3 windows in which to do that. Also mentions here that there's funding available for clubs to secure equipment, which is the grass pitch equipment fund that I mentioned, machinery fund even. And if there is a machinery recommendation, that will appear in this section here. And then this section is around the maintenance that that's been kind of suggested. So you'll see that you've got a pitch by pitch kind of breakdown. So obviously I mentioned before those different measures. So it's got the grass height. You can see in this one, the grass height is different in different parts of the pitch. So it then calculates those and comes up with a performance quality grade for each part of the each measure, and that's how they kind of build what that score is. And then down here you can see how the pitch has changed over time. So it was first done in 2022 and it came out as basic. It might be done again a few months down the line and it might have moved up to basic by then. It may then move back down to poor, for example, and you'll be able to see how it's kind of progressed over time. And you get this on a pitch by pitch. You can now see the junior 11v11 and the junior 9v9 as well. So then we're on to the recommendation section. So the recommendations are always delivered in priority order, and it's priority order for your site. So it might be different to someone else's report in terms of what appears first, but if you can't carry out all of the works that are in the report due to finances or something else, if you can work from top to bottom, then that will show the best results. So you'll see it's got what works to undertake. It's got a bit of a description around what to do and why. It's got the frequency in which you should try and do it. In the description, it will often suggest what time of year as well. And whether that's recommended for one of the pitches in particular or whether it's applicable to the whole ground, and then an estimate of what the cost might be to carry that out. That cost is not guaranteed, so that's just there basically so that if you're contacting a contractor and asking them to undertake this work, they're not quoting you something ridiculous. If it's around that ballpark, then you know that you're kind of being offered an amount that's reasonable. You'll notice as well, I didn't mention that the inspection ID is also on the bottom of every page. So decompaction continued. We've got overseed in here in season. Again, it gives you a bit of information around what type of seed to use, whether you need a specialist machine like a disc seeder. Mentions around the timing of putting it into the ground. It will struggle in hot weather without irrigation, so or particularly cold, so you need to get that timing right. Weed treatment. Goalmouth repairs. Mowing. Again, it's got a suggestion around the height of cut. Again, another thing that local councils often do is cut it as short as they possibly can because they don't want to return to do it very frequently. And that can be detrimental to the grass. So getting that height of cut right can be beneficial. So if you, for example, are with a town and parish council site, it might be that you can suggest to them, actually, this is the height we'd like it to be at, and can you also do it every 2 weeks, as suggested. And then line marking as well. So again, just some advice around how you can get the line straight and how frequently you should probably be marking as well. And you'll see at the bottom here, it's got a estimated costs for all of the recommendations that are in there. Same as before, it's a bit of a guide. It's not going to land bang on that number. You'll notice there's no figure next to line marking and mowing. So the funding that you apply for can't be spent on mowing or line marking. So that's why there's no figure in for those two. Training. So if you've got volunteers that are carrying out some of these works and they're listed in PitchPower as a volunteer, it may well suggest a training course that they could go on that might be of benefit to them, which is likely to be the GMA level 1 or level 2 course. They're quite cheap to do as well, and yeah, really help with developing your knowledge. And then the final page is just about applying for the funding. So the link to apply for the funding is apply.footballfoundation.org.uk. You've got your report ID there again, which you'll need during the application process. And then there's some other bits around the training courses that the GMA provide, and the groundskeeping community, which the Football Foundation have developed. And I will show you that shortly. So that's the PitchPower report. Whoops, come past one. So in terms of the initial PitchPower assessment, so we've got some funding to spend on support pitch advisors that can come out and help you undertake your initial PitchPower assessment. So there's a link there which you can use to request an SPA. However, you'll still need to do the pre-assessment actions in advance. So if I just go back, that was this. So you need to make sure that you've got yourself set up on PitchPower already, and then have collated the information around budget, cancellations, drainage, equipment, and how much usage it gets. Because if we send a support pitch advisor out and they get midway through the inspection and can't complete it, it's a bit of a waste of the spend on them coming out. So you need to make sure that you've got all of that information in advance before we send someone out. So once you've done the PitchPower assessment, you've got your report back, you can now access the funding. So there's the Grass Pitch Maintenance Fund, which I'll spend a little more time on. This is tapered over 6 years. Then there's the Grass Pitch Machinery and Equipment Fund. So you can get up to £25,000, but we'll need to contribute at least 25% to the total cost of the fund, of the machinery. As I mentioned before, you need to have a recommendation in your PitchPower report that machinery should be purchased. The way to get that recommendation is to make sure that when you do your PitchPower assessment, you mention it in that equipment section. And then the final one, the Grass Pitch Drainage Fund. Again, it's a £25,000 fund, of which you'll need to provide at least 25%. However, the cost of drainage is usually quite significantly more than that. So it's typical that your contribution would be quite a bit more than 25%. The second bit to mention on that is the Football Foundation prefer not to have not to go down the route of drainage installation. They found that the Grass Pitch Maintenance Fund route tends to yield better results, so they prefer to see at least 2 years of the maintenance fund going into a site before they consider drainage. So if there's 2 years of grass pitch maintenance funding going in and it's not yielding results, then they'll have a look at drainage as a potential option. So the Grass Pitch Maintenance Fund. So in terms of the eligible applicants, so grassroots clubs, although step 1 to 6 clubs can't apply for their pitches that are in stadiums or that are used in the National League system. You can still use PitchPower on those sites. So you can still gain the information around how to improve the pitches in terms of the report that comes through. You just can't use the funding on the actual pitch itself. So leagues can apply as long as they are step 7 or below. Charities, so if you're a village hall, for example, then they can apply. And then as from April, educational sites and town and parish council sites can apply themselves. Previously, before, it was only clubs that were able to apply on those sites, but now it can be the actual educational site themselves or the town and parish council themselves. Generally, applicants will need security of tenure, although it's not 100% guaranteed. So ideally, ownership of the freehold, I'm fully aware that that's not going to be the case for most of you, or an uninterruptible lease or license with 10 years left. If you've got a lease or a license which has more than 12 months left but less than 10, then you'll still be able to apply. And there's a form that you'll be able to have attached, which is the landlord and tenant form, which will mean you can still undertake that the application. And if you've got less than 12 months to run, or you don't have a lease or license in place at all, then it can be accompanied with the Grass Pitch Maintenance Agreement pro forma. So again, I can send these details across, and these forms across as they're required. They are on the Football Foundation website as well, to be able to download if you need to. But yeah, if you don't have a lease or a license in place, don't let it put you off applying. So in terms of what the money can be used on, so you can use it to employ contractors to carry out the work. You can use it to purchase materials, and you can use it to purchase any small equipment. So you might, for example, want to get a soil sampler because you'll be needing to do soil samples for twice a year for the duration of the grant. Routine maintenance such as grass cutting and line marking is not eligible, and the funds should be used in addition, not to replace the existing investment into your pitches. And then just a reminder there that the applications can be made at apply.footballfoundation.org.uk, and you'll need your PitchPower ID, PitchPower report ID code during the application process. So in terms of how much money you can access, as I mentioned before, if the pitches come back with a performance quality standard of poor or basic, you'll be entitled to an enhanced grant to try and improve the pitches up to a good standard. And if the pitches come back with a performance quality standard of good or advanced, then you'll be able to get a sustained grant, which will help keep the pitches at that level. So you'll notice there that the amount you can get for the size of pitch is also different depending on the pitch size. So as I mentioned before, if you've got a small-sided pitch that sits within an 11v11, for example, you can't include the small-sided pitch in the PitchPower report, assessment, and therefore try and claim the funding for any over-marked pitches. So you have to go with the biggest pitch size that you've got there. So I've got an example on the right-hand side here of one basic pitch, which is an 11v11. So you can see that the grant is £3,200, and that's for the year. So as I mentioned, the grant tapers off over 6 years. So you'll see here every year the total project cost is 3,200, but the grant from the Football Foundation is 100% in the first 2 years and then drops off to 67% in year 3 and 4 and 33% in year 5 and 6. And then there's an applicant contribution that kicks in from year 3 that makes up that amount, so that you've still got 3,200 going into the site every year. If your pitches come out as good or advanced and you apply for a sustained grant, there's no applicant contribution. So I just go back to here. So the figures here are obviously a lot lower because it costs a lot less to sustain the pitches at a good level if they're already good. Whereas to move them up to a good standard, there's a lot more investment that's needed at the front end. Now, this applicant contribution, it's worth noting, is not a definitive figure of what you'll actually need to contribute. So in year 1 and 2, you'll be given the grant up front, and you'll spend the money in line with the recommendations in the report, and you should see the pitch move up to good within 12 to 18 months. If the pitch moves up to good and you've done subsequent PitchPower assessments and it's now coming out as good, your grant doesn't change. So you're still entitled to the full amount that you offered at the front end. It doesn't change because your pitches have now improved. Secondly, this applicant contribution that kicks in from year 3, as I mentioned, is not a definitive figure. It changes to a reimbursement basis from year 3 onwards. So you'll spend on pitch maintenance, and then at the end of the year, you'll submit your invoices or receipts to evidence how you spent the money, and then you'll be reimbursed 67% of the amount that you've spent in that year, up to a maximum of 2,133 in this example. So what we would expect to see is that the heavy lifting in terms of moving the pitch up to good happens in year 1 and 2, and then in year 3, because the pitches have now reached a good level, you're not actually needing to spend as much money keeping it at that level. So, for example, if, as is mentioned here, you only needed to spend £960 sustaining the pitch at that level, then your 33% contribution that you'd be putting in year 3 would actually be closer to £300 rather than £1,000. So as long as the heavy lifting is done in year 1 and 2, and that's why it's so important to follow the recommendations in the report, then you should have a lot less to spend in year 3 onwards in terms of your contribution. After the first year's grant, you'll need to evidence to the Football Foundation how you spent that money. So you'll need to submit invoices or receipts in order to claim your year 2 funding, and it'll be the same every year after that as well. So that's just to make sure that you haven't spent it on ineligible items. So I don't know, spent it on some kit or something like that, or used it for line marking or grass cutting. It'll also mean that if the pitch hasn't moved up to good, they'll be able to look at the works that you've undertaken on it and see if you've done it in line with the report. Because really they want to see you using the information that's in the report. If the pitch is not moving up to good, and you followed the information in the report, then obviously it's then a case of the GMA looking back into that and going, actually, maybe the advice we put in wasn't quite right. Perhaps we need to come out and do a physical site visit to get a better understanding of what the pitch needs, which they'll be happy to do free of charge as well. So if you're applying as the club yourselves, I've put league in there as well because this applies to them too. You'll need a separate PitchPower assessment for each site that you use. So if you're using a school site and a town and parish council site and a borough council site, for example, you'll need a PitchPower assessment for each, and then you'll then get a subsequent PitchPower report for each, and your application for the funding will also be one for each site, and you'll have obviously a different PitchPower ID code for each site. You'll need to evidence security of tenure, as mentioned. So you've got 4 ways in which you can get through this process. So if you've got the freehold, if you've got a lease or license with 10+ years to run, or if you've got a license with less than 10 years to run, but you've got more than 12 months, then it can be accompanied with the landlord and tenant form. If you've got no sufficient lease or license at all, or it's got less than 12 months, then you can use the grass pitch maintenance agreement pro forma to be able to apply. You'll also need to include evidence of partnership funding during your application. They're not going to ask for screenshots of bank balances and to know if you've got reserves and that kind of stuff. It's just a text box. It'll just ask you where you are going to be able to get that funding from when it gets to year 3. So what a lot of clubs are doing is maybe increasing subs by 50 pence, for example, to be able to kind of accrue that money in year 1 and 2, so that it's kind of there waiting for them in year 3 if they need it. But yeah, plenty of ways that you may look about doing that. If you are having funding going into the site and it's been spent by a town and parish council, for example, you can evidence their spend as your applicant contribution into the site. So basically, from the Football Foundation's point of view, they just want to know that there's some additional money going into the site, regardless of who exactly is spending that money. So if you're on a town and parish council site, they may choose to be the applicant, or they may want to be the applicant. If they're undertaking a lot of the maintenance work already, they might think, actually, yeah, we'll just do the application. If that's the case, they will take on responsibility for the applicant contribution when year 3 rolls round, although that might be a conversation you want to have with them in terms of how that works. We did a webinar with town and parish councils last week, Thursday. So if you approach your town and parish council, they should have an idea what this is about. If they didn't make the webinar last week, I have got a recording of it and can send it to them. So feel free to pop me over an email and copy them in, and I'll make sure they get a copy of it. As mentioned before, separate PitchPower assessment will be needed for each site, separate funding application for each site, and then the same security of tenure information as well. If they are the lead applicant, they'll need a grass pitch service level agreement, which basically just demonstrates to the Football Foundation that there is community usage on the site. Mark, do you have a question?
Yeah, sorry, I lost you there. The screen froze. I don't know whether you answered it for a few moments when it froze, but when you said about the parish council doing work, would that include the grass cutting?
No. So on that applicant contribution bit, you can't include grass cutting or line marking as a spend.
Yeah, I remember you saying that, but that's quite a contribution that the council do in terms of maintaining our racing ground and also the actual pitches. So that's a pity in that sense, because as a club we rely on them to do that, the maintenance in terms of cutting the grass. But anyway, okay.
Yeah, no, point taken. It's I think the key thing is that they're looking at this as being enhanced work. Obviously the line marking and grass cutting is critical to having it as a basic standard, but in terms of the work that you can undertake that should improve the quality of the pitch, I think that's what they're kind of key to fund. Trevor, you got a question?
Yes, sorry, Aidan. Is it 3,000 if our pitch is basic? We've had one assessment done, so and we've got 2 pitches. So is the funding of 3,200 for each pitch?
Yes. So as long as you've done a PitchPower assessment on both pitches, when you then go to do your application, it'll be 3,200 for each pitch, 6,400 altogether.
Okay, and just I know you're going to cover it a bit later on, but why can we apply for funding for machinery as well at the same time, or is a different time
Yes,
for that?
yeah, they used to do it separately. So they used to have it. Well, you can still apply for it separately, but they used to have it where you could only apply separately. They've now included it as part of the process. So when you're going through, yeah, it'll ask you if you also want to apply for machinery at the same time.
Oh, right, that's great. That's
Yeah.
super. Thanks.
So that will sit on top. So if you, for example, a 2-pitch 11v11 site, you're over the 6 years would be 25 grand ish, because it's 2 lots of 2,800, 12,800, so about 25 grand. And then you can apply for the machinery on top of that as well. So there's another up to 25 grand to apply for too.
Right, that's great. Thanks, Aidan, for that.
No worries. Same screen here. So education establishments, exactly the same thing applies if they want to be the lead applicant. We had a webinar with them last week, Thursday as well. And again, if your education site wasn't around or didn't attend and isn't aware of this, put them in touch with me, because we've got a recording of that webinar and we can send that across to them as well, so that they know what it's all about. So after you've got the funding, first thing we'll do is we'll come out and get a bit of a celebration photo with you, hopefully with some players in the background, like with this one, which we did with Sittingbourne Youth, and just a quick discussion around how you're going to spend the funds, just to make sure that you're plotting to do it in line with the PitchPower report. You'll also need to undertake 2 PitchPower assessments per year, as I mentioned before. So there is a compulsory window, which is the wet part of the season. So between November to March, they basically want to see what the pitch is like at its absolute worst. The measures are adjusted from the GMA's end. So when the data is sent through via the app, and they're giving you a score, because they know that the pitches are likely to be worse between November and March, there's an adjustment that's made. So you can still get a pitch that might come out at good in the November to March period, although it might not look as good as it would at the start of the season, for example. And then in terms of your second assessment, that can be done in either April to June or September to October. It can be done between July and August, but is not always recommended, because the pitch might be a bit too hard and you might struggle to get a spade or a soil sampler into the ground. And it also doesn't give a complete picture of what the pitch is like during the playing season. However, don't let it stop you if you wanted to get going with it now. I mean, I'm not sure how it's been across the rest of the county, but for me over in East Kent today, it's been absolutely chucking it down. So yeah, the pitches will be nice and soft, and it'll actually be quite a good time to do an assessment, even though it is mid-July. And then hopefully, once all your pitches on the site reach a good level, you'll receive our Good Pitches wall plaque. So once you do the PitchPower assessments, as you go through the 6 years, you'll see you obviously get a new report each time. So you'll get a new performance quality standard each time, and obviously the updated guidance as well. So yeah, hopefully your pitches will all get to good, and then we can award you one of these plaques. So this was Paul Wade over at Orpington Football Club who was awarded this a few weeks ago. Trevor, did you have a second question, or was that Legacy hand?
No, sorry, I've left it on from last time. Sorry.
No worries. Okay, so in terms of the support that's available, so we've got the support pitch advisors that can help with your initial PitchPower assessment, as I mentioned before. Obviously, you need to have the pre-assessment actions done beforehand, before they'll come out. So yeah, I'll make sure that you've got the link to be able to access that. We can't send them out to do multiple PitchPower assessments. So if you've been doing PitchPower for a year or two, or you've done it before, obviously with the funding that we've got, because we're trying to stretch it as far as we can, we can't keep sending the support pitch advisors out multiple times. So it's really important that on the day that they come out to help, that you've got whoever's going to be doing the assessments moving forwards present, so they learn how to do it and are confident to do it themselves next time round. We're going to be doing a practical PitchPower workshop in September, which will feature tips on how to speed up your assessments. They should take about 30 minutes per pitch, but it can be quicker. And that workshop will cover that. And also a bit more of a deep dive into understanding your PitchPower report. We've also got the Hive groundskeeping community, which I'll quickly show you. So this is developed by the Football Foundation, and it's basically a community where groundskeepers can seek advice from each other, but also from the Grounds Management Association team. So when you log in, you'll see a screen that's like this, which is a bit like a social media type portal. So as you scroll through, you'll see there's various comments that people have put in. People will ask questions on there, and other groundskeepers from the grassroots football community across the country might answer those questions. You'll notice that there's various resources. So up here, for example, you've got top tips for dealing with drought, which is really like timely for this time of year. In the summer, there was one around, in the winter, there's one around dealing with ice, which can be useful, dealing with ice and dealing with snow. If you click on the group section, and then you can join a group, and we've got the Kent FA Grass Pitch Improvement Hub group, which has got more local people in. So I tend to post in there relatively frequently, as you'll see. But we've got other people as well who've posted in there. We've asked questions around maybe certain bits of equipment, and then they've had responses from people who've maybe had the same issue and have got some advice to offer. And that's pretty much the groundskeeping hub. So you can create an account on footballfoundation.hivelearning.com, and you'll be able to access that and make sure you join the Kent group. So this is something that's brand new, it's only actually created today, but I'll send this round when I send through the recording of this and the slides. So it's a PitchPower cheat sheet. So I mentioned earlier that it should take about 30 minutes to do each pitch, and obviously if you've got a 6-pitch site, for example, that's 3 hours, which you might think, oh, it's going to be quite tough to find 3 hours spare. This gives you a few tips on how you can speed that process up. So essentially, it's just going out and taking the photos and then doing the rest of it on the computer at home or on your phone at home. So it should take about 6 minutes per pitch if you just go out and do this method. So it tells you what images you need, and it's got an example of those images as well. It tells you in this circle how many of those pictures you'll need. So wide angle image, you only need one picture of the line markings, and then for the grass height you're going to need 3, because you need to do the 3 parts of the pitch, so each goal mouth and then one from the center circle. Same with the grass and weed cover picture. So with this one you'll need each of the 2 goal mouths and one from the center circle, but you'll upload the same photo twice during the assessment. So you'll have the one question that'll ask you about grass cover, and then you'll have one question that'll ask you about weed cover, but you can upload the same photo for both of those questions. And then the soil sample photo. Again, you'll need one for each goal mouth and one from the center circle as well. So you've got 3 soil sample photos. A little tip, if you've got a multi-pitch site, that can make it a bit easier for you in terms of when you get home and you're then uploading the pictures on the app as you go through the assessment. It's worth taking a photo of your fingers before each set of the photos to represent which pitch number the next set of photos correlate to. So if you, when you go and do the first photo, you'll just take a picture of your finger as one. Take these set of photos, so these 2 first, and then goal mouth 1, take 1 each of these. Go to the center circle, take 1 each of these, and then go to goal mouth 2 and take 1 each of those. Then take a picture of your fingers again as 2, and then do the second pitch and go through again. And that just means that when you're looking at all the photos that when you're uploading, you can work out which pitch it relates to. We've also now started a grass pitch maintenance fund application surgery, which is basically one-to-one meetings with me where we basically work through your application. So the application form's quite easy to go through, but yeah, I can provide any support that you need in terms of submitting those. So that's going to be available every Friday. You can book slots between 9 and 5, and it's going to be online via Teams. We'll do a screen share and just kind of work through your application. I'll send you through the link to book that when I send through the recording from this as well. And that's pretty much it. So is there any questions that you've got? I know that was a bit longer than hoped, but wanted to be fairly detailed to make sure that everything was understood as clearly as possible. Trevor.
Yes, I'm very informative. Great, thanks. Just is, I'm from rugby club, and that's in the Midlands. Can I work through you, or have I got to come to Midlands representative?
Yeah, you'll probably need. I mean, you all of the information that was mentioned today is relevant to you anyway. But in terms of if you need additional support, you'll need to contact your local county FA.
Okay.
Yeah, which county are you in? Because
well, it's West Midlands, but it
Okay.
could be Birmingham, or it could be Staffordshire.
Okay.
You're on the sort of border.
Okay. I'm at St George's Park with a few versions of me from across the country tomorrow, so I'll see if I can find out who that is. And you booked onto this, so I've got your email address, so yeah, I'll get back in touch and hopefully be able to point you as to which county FA you need to get in touch with.
That's great, Aidan. Thanks for that. I appreciate it.
No worries. Did anyone else have any other questions? Brilliant. Okay. Mark.
Sorry, me again. Yeah,
No worries.
obviously this grant relates to this 6-year reducing grant, doesn't it?
Yeah.
This topic today, because about 3 seasons ago, we did get a pitch maintenance grant, which was a one-off payment, where we had aerating and reseeding. Does that still exist?
That one doesn't anymore. Yeah, I know which one you mean. Yeah, the pitch preparation fund. But yeah, that one's now closed. Yeah.
Okay,
so
no, that's fine. If it doesn't exist anymore, then obviously this is the one to concentrate on then.
yeah.
Right.
Did you find that one helped a few years ago?
Definitely, 100%. Yeah, I mean the pitches are still not as good as they were after the first season, but there's a definite improvement still there after. It's still going into the third season. So, but as a club, yeah, we'll definitely be looking at the this particular grant, the 6-year reducing one.
Yeah, no, brilliant, perfect.
Yeah, cheers.
Okay, so it doesn't seem like there's any other questions. So yeah, just last bits to wrap up really. So in terms of the next steps, if you haven't already, then the first steps to get started on PitchPower, get your pitches assessed. You may want to check with your landowner, as they may have already done this, particularly if you're on a town or parish council site. Some of them have got started on this already, so it's worth checking with them if they've done it. If you do need a support pitch advisor, then please submit a request on the link, and I'll send that through so you've got that. Once you've got that PitchPower assessment report, apply for the funding. If you need help, then obviously you can book into the application surgery, which again I'll send a link through for that as well. And then once you've got that money, use it to undertake the works that are recommended in the report. And then fingers crossed, you're going to enjoy improved pitches at the end of it. So I've got my contact details there again, just in case you need it, and wanted to ask any follow-up questions. But yeah, hopefully that's been helpful tonight. And I look forward to hopefully coming out and presenting you with our giant check when you've got the funding, and seeing your pitches improve over the next 12 to 18 months. Thanks very much, everyone. And we'll catch up with you all soon. Oh, Mark, you got another question?
No, sorry.
No worries. Brilliant.
Thanks, Aidan.
Thanks so much, all. Thanks, Trevor.
Thank you.
Cheers, Aidan.
Thank you, Aidan.
No worries. Thanks very much.